Hi, how are you? My name is Ruth Marie and welcome to my channel. Here I share a lot of DIY projects, sewing projects, and all things Halloween because I'm obsessed with fall. Anywho, this video is, obviously one of my first videos. It's going to be slightly different. And I'm sharing this video because I feel like there's a lot of videos about minimalism, but not about how someone who is a maker and a crafter becomes a minimalist. My journey started about 6 months ago, and we'll wind back to that. 6 months ago, December of 2021, 7 months ago, when I found out that I was downsizing from a 2-bedroom to a studio apartment. So I used to have an entire sewing, crafting, making, creator studio, which was a bedroom with a walk-in closet. And now I'm not gonna have that. In fact, my studio doesn't have any closets at all. So I had to really rethink on how I was gonna move forward with my hobby, because I was not going to eliminate my hobby. Sewing is part of what I am, who I am, what I do, and that's something that I'm not gonna give up. But I did have a lot of stuff, and just like every crafter and every maker can relate, we like to hoard materials and save scraps, and that's a problem for this kind of situation. I went over to Instagram to ask my fellow makers, crafters, and sewers, if they know of any YouTuber or a social media influencer who is a maker, crafter, sewer, who is a minimalist. And I did get a couple answers, which were the same ones that I kind of came up with, which was Rosary Apparel and Bernadette Banner. Bernadette Banner now has a larger space, but back when she was in New York, she had a very small space. And she really worked with materials one project at a time. And then Rosary Apparel, she has a small sewing studio, but she still has a sewing studio, like a place dedicated for her sewing. I basically have this behind me, a bookshelf next to me that has a serger, a sewing machine, and then one shelf above me. I do have some fabric hoarded away in our hallway closet, but it's like an IKEA size of fabric, so it's not a whole lot of fabric too. The other issue that I ran into is that my job requires me to have a very large computer / monitor. It's a 36-inch monitor, and it's a desktop tower computer, taller than this and about this size. So it's like this big, and it's very thick as well. I have to fit that in this space, which this space is about 7'6" by 6'6", so 7 foot 6 inches by 6 foot 6 inches. A very small den. I also have my personal iMac computer that sits on the same desk, 2 laptops, and an iPad. Those are things I cannot get rid of, and I use almost on a daily basis. All 5 devices, 6 if you count my phone, just to do my job. So I spent a lot of time looking over at YouTube at desk setups, which, by the way, there's a whole world of desk setups that's just organization heaven. Like, if you like watching organization video, look up videos on cable management, desk setup, studio setups. Like, I can just watch those for days. That's not what this video is going to show. It's going to show the end result of a desk setup. So if you're interested in me showing my process of cable management and how I did all of that, how do I fit all those electronics without it looking like a bird's nest of just wires, let me know down below, because I do have footage on how I did that. I just didn't include it in this video because it would make this video very long. The other thing that I looked into, because I do special effects makeup and stage makeup, is how to organize makeup in a small space. So I did a lot of research on organizing makeup and what do you actually need and what can you get rid of. What do I need? I also have, a bunch of vintage hair products and rollers and curlers, and it's just organizing all the beauty stuff when my bathroom also has very minimal storage. And then sewing studios, almost every sewing studio organization video I saw have very large spaces. Very few have very small spaces, and the small spaces that do exist, most people try to stuff it with as much as possible. Seeing that I'm going to be spending a ton of time in this tiny little space, I didn't want to feel cluttered and claustrophobic. I wanted to feel as organized as I possibly can without getting rid of valuable things that I've collected over the years. So I basically have to fit in a sewing studio, makeup studio, and then my digital workspace for my work studio, all in this tiny space. And that's what this video is about. If you want a more detailed explanation about my process on how I went from how I tried to transform my mindset from a maximalist mindset where I just wanted to collect all the things to a minimalist mindset, I have 2 links down below on part 1 and part 2 of my downsizing vlogs. I'm not gonna add to this video because it's already way too long. And without further ado, let's go back to December of 2021. Zoomed in too much. All right, first things first, I want to talk about this lovely tower right here. When I first moved in, I had these 3 boxes filled with fabric. I had boxes over there filled with fabric, about 4 of them, and I had something like this. It looks like an IKEA duffel bag kind of thing, filled with fabric. And then I downsized to the first purge was downsizing to these 3 boxes and 2 of these bins, which there were like 2 bins of scraps, 2 bins of scraps, 1 bin of unfinished projects, UFOs, and then 2 bins of fabric. I have already gone down to 1 bin of scraps. This is still unfinished projects, even though I got rid of some unfinished projects that I know I probably won't get to for a year, so I might as well just remake them. And then I squeezed in as much fabric as I could into that bin, and that bin is empty. Sounds great, right? However, while rummaging through things, I have found some more fabric that I have missed. I think that is 1 pile right there, and that is 1 pile right there. I'm having a hard time letting go. A very hard time. So what I decided is I'm going to try to finish some UFOs between today and tomorrow. Whatever doesn't finish and doesn't fit in there, we're just gonna get rid of it. We're gonna get rid of it because there is no space. So yeah. I hate this, but you know what? It's do or die. Do or die? Is that the right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know that even having these 2 are going to take a lot of space in the apartment. At least maybe I can shove them underneath the bed. Again, I don't know where we're going to live. I just know that no matter all the apartments we've been looking at do not have closet space for this. It just don't. There's no closet space for this. This either has to live out in the open, which looks ugly and I don't like, or we have to squeeze it under the bed. And I'm going to try my best to get rid of this lovely pile. If I can downsize to just 1 container, we'd be in business. That'd be great. So if I already purged this closet about 3 times right now, what you're hearing is a coffee maker in the kitchen. So all of that has been purged up there. I need to work on purging these a little more so I have space to put new patterns. This area that was here, all of this was stuffed. Just imagine all these shelves stuffed with stuff. There was stuff on the floor, there was stuff on top of that. So I've done a pretty great job purging some of the stuff. And you can see over here some boxes where stuff used to be, and there are actually some boxes missing in here. But I need to take it a step further. A lot of this is going to go into storage just because I know I'm going to want them one day, stuff that never goes bad, stuff that I'll use, or maybe I can, give to future students or mentors who would find it useful. But I'm pretty proud of the progress I've made. We just need to take it one step further. Getting rid of all of this. Let's see how successful I am at selling this. We had our first garage sale today, and all of this you see right here is for sale. I actually sold quite a bit, but what didn't sell almost at all, was all the sewing stuff. So I have quite a few fabrics. I have a giant IKEA bag full of fabrics, and then paints, and a whole box of ribbons, a whole box of zippers, a whole box of just elastic. I don't know what that was about. And then odds and ends, glues, scissors, extra measuring tapes because I had like 5. I'm down to, I believe, 2. And so I'm almost unpacking, which is kind of a relief. Tomorrow the truck comes after our part 2 garage sale, and we're going to load it up with as many things as I'm comfortable with taking to a studio apartment. For tonight, this pile is what I have to tackle. It's a mix of all kinds of stuff, so we'll see what I end up checking and what I end up keeping. Okay, so come on, stay right. Whew. Okay, so one thing, I'm gonna try my best. One thing that I am not getting rid of remotely are containers that I've been collecting over the years, including shoe boxes. Basically anything that's a small container that I can like separate and organize better. How I'm going to use them, what I'm going to use them for is yet to be determined. But I figured I can figure out once I get there how to use the containers best. Right now they can like all see. Whoops. welcome back. It's been 7 months since I first started filming this, and the studio is done. Now, as you saw in the video, there were moments where I organized. The only organization I really showed was the sewing organization. I didn't really want to show anything other than that. I do have footage on how I organized my makeup, and like I said before, footage on how I did the cable management on my computer setup. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to create more organization videos. But I know that beyond this room, I'm really not going to share more organization videos, at least not for the rest of this year. I want to talk about where I'm at now in my minimalist stage. I still struggle with buying fabric in particular. Mood Fabrics in Miami opened up, and I cannot help myself. It is just 15 minutes away from me. It's a hard one to avoid. I find that I just want to sew just so I can buy new fabric, and I'm not. I have been good at using what I have, but when there's a project that pops in my head for which I do not have fabric for, I instantly want to go and buy it. I have in my blog, I list basically a checklist of questions that I ask myself as I'm holding the fabric to see if I actually need it or not, and then I put it back. What I want to talk about next is how I use this space. It is very small, and like I said, it does many things. So during the day, all my sewing stuff has to be away. My sewing machines have to be up on their shelves, cables are put away, covers are on, because I have many meetings on my computer, and that's sitting right behind me. I can't have my ironing board out because where I'm sitting right now, in this direction, is where I set up my ironing board, which would be behind me on video calls. The iron has to be put away. This has to be tucked away. I can't have any of my sewing knickknacks just randomly on my shelf like I have this Rit dye or color remover right here. All my patterns need to be put away. All my projects need to be put away. So this is how I function now. When I work, this place is impeccable. At the end of the day, if I'm going to sew, I only take out the things I need. So this little box right here, you can get this at IKEA, keeps all like my sewing machine tools. This sits at my desk. This is the only sewing thing, sorry, that makes a lot of noise. This is the only sewing item that sits on my desk at all times. So that's always there. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. And then I take out the thread that I need, the needles that I need. I keep most of the specialty items still in their boxes, and everything still in its boxes. And then I take the one sewing project that I need. One of the boxes that is up on the shelf over there has all my ongoing sewing projects, which I try to keep to like 2, maybe 3 at a time. Let me tell you, that's been the hardest practice because I still have my coat that hasn't been finished. I still have a wedding dress that hasn't been finished. And no, it's not my actual wedding dress, it's for another project. More to come on that. What I'm trying to say is I have to battle my tendencies of not finishing what I started. I've been really good at scheduling days or weekends, or this week I will start this project and by this day it needs to be finished, or at least to the point where all it needs is a hem so I can hang it in my closet. Once I get to that point, then I'll allow myself to start on the next project. For the days that I am sewing, that I'm assigning days that I'm sewing, those are the days that I put my keyboards away. My monitor that's on an arm goes up against the wall to free up space on my desk space so I can put my sewing machine and I can sew. Fortunately, my other computer is still there, but it doesn't take up as much space. Then my ironing board comes here where I'm sitting right now, and that is my setup for the weekend. Basically, this place is transformed into a tiny sewing studio. Do I want to keep this up? I'll say this. I want my own sewing space. I want my studio back. I want to have my space where I can create chaos. Does it bring me anxiety not to have that space? No, it doesn't, actually. It's kind of methodical, putting everything back every time and then taking everything out. It's kind of like a little ritual. I'll put on a song, a favorite playlist, pour myself a glass of wine, and then get to work. And then putting everything back actually is kind of meditative as well, because I'm closing something. I'm resetting everything. I'm resetting the room. I'm resetting my mind, and I'm starting with a blank canvas all over again. This happens on a weekly basis, and I think it's done really well for my creativity. I feel more creative than ever, because having everything put away gets me excited to want to take it back out and work on something. I think I've created more, and I've been able to finish projects faster because of this. I'm not quite sure what the science is behind it, but I really enjoy it. So if I ever do get a sewing studio, creative, painting, makeup space back again, I will definitely add that to my routine, where I put everything back and reset the room every night. The final thought I'll leave you with: do I like this minimalist lifestyle, and will I go back to being a maximalist? Yes and no. I like the minimalist practice of trying really considering what you're bringing into your space. Do you have space for it? Are you gonna use it? Is it just gonna take up space? What's more valuable? Having a clutter-free environment, or having all that stuff? Like, really going through those questions and having clear intentions for whatever you purchase. That is what I like. Stopping the flow of stuff coming in at such a rapid rate and taking up your space. What I don't like is how small my space is, which has nothing to do with minimalism. You don't have to have a small space to have a minimalist life. It's just I had to adjust to a minimalist life in order to fit into a small space. Well, anyways, I'll leave you with final thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sticking around if you stuck around this long. I hope you found some of this useful. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. If you have any suggestions, please let me know down below. If you want to continue seeing more of this, let me know down below. But other than that, look forward to more videos on sewing, crafting, and Halloween is coming up. I know it's summer, okay? But at the moment 4th of July is over, which is next week, it's on. It's full on Halloween. It's the next holiday. We just skip to the next holiday. We don't have to wait till the 31st. No way, okay? So stay tuned for some of that, all right? Love you, bye. I bought this bag from Backstitch Bruja, and I just wanted to show it off. Look how pretty it is. I have nowhere to put this, by the way. This is one of those impulse buys where I literally have nowhere to put this. It sits like a piece of decoration floating around my apartment. She's so pretty.